Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 161st and River, and a couple things to talk about and go over today. And I guess. First of all, we're going to start with the obvious, the Judge and jury. So, Aaron Judge not in the starting lineup this morning. Obviously, it threw alarms up. Going back to that throw on Thursday in Toronto, and obviously, sorry, something in my eye. Um, all right, back. I think for 2 hours there, every Yankee fan was thinking Tommy John. And the worst, I think the Yankees were thinking that, judging by some of Boone's post-game answers. Um, but they avoid that. It is a flexor strain. Spencer Jones will not be called up. Just so ignore the Jack Curry things. We were going to get to that, but it just came across my screen. Spencer Jones will not be called up in wake of the Judge injury. I think it's going to end up being Everson Pereira, which will also mean Grisham and Dominguez will get everyday run, but we'll get to that. So Judge has a flexor strain, a right flexor strain. The UCL is fully intact. That's the important thing. So the UCL is normally what goes wrong for like Tommy John. So that's good. That's a good thing. Boom, confirmed that. I think it was asked like 3 times. Like the UCL's intact, the UCL's intact, the UCL's intact. And he said yes. So no tear. The plan is, as of now, he's going to be placed on the 10-day IL. He has not yet. He will be though. They just sent down Alan Winans, so I'm assuming they're going to make a myriad of roster moves tomorrow morning. Judging on whatever. He will DH when he returns to the lineup. So they're looking at putting him on the 10-day IL. So he should be back on August 6th. It's looking like, and or somewhere around then. So he'll be back at that point, and then what'll happen is he's going to be in the DH spot for a couple of weeks. I think 10 days, and then he can start playing the outfield again if all goes right. They're obviously going to be cautious and take their time. They spoke to Giancarlo about playing in left field or right field, and that seems to be what's happening. Giancarlo said to the media a little while ago that this week he's going to start his outfield work. He's going to do whatever he can to help the team. He wants to be back out there. So it seems like that's where they're heading. So that'll open up the DH spot. Obviously, they have some time to work through that, but that'll open up the DH spot for Judge with Stanton playing the outfield. So that's good. It will not be Spencer Jones coming up. But Andy Martino notes that the way he's been playing in AAA, he's had back spasms the past couple of days, which is why he's likely not coming up. He's kind of one of the untouchables right now in the Yankee system. They have considered 3 of them. It is George Lombard Jr., Spencer Jones, and Cam Schlittler are looking like the untouchables right now for the Yankees. Jason Dominguez is not one of them. I don't foresee them trading him unless it's really something big. But these relievers, and we're going to get to that in the next segment, these relievers are going to cost something big, and it might be him, but you don't have that well to go to anymore. Now with Judge on the IL, you're going to need his bat. So if you look at it this way, Judge going on the injured list, and on below you could see the play that sent him there. That might have just saved Jason Dominguez and possibly even Trent Grisham from being traded. Because I was an advocate to trade Trent Grisham with his with his value being as high as it is. So next, let's talk about the game today. today's game just had a feeling from like the first batter that doubled off of Stroman to Ben Rice popping out to end the game. Like it was just never going to be a win for the Yankees, so they've lost the series already. So tomorrow they'll look to avoid the sweep. They have not been swept at home, so they'll look to avoid that tomorrow. Just not good. Just not a good day for the Yankees. They had 9 hits, 3 runs, 4 runs, 3 RBIs. Excuse me, 5 walks, which is good. They struck out 12 times. Right, McMahon in his Yankee debut, we'll get to him, struck out twice. And you know what? I will say this: some of the strikeouts were a result of the home plate umpire not being great. I thought the at-bats were fine today, for the exception of Goldschmidt. He's the only one whose at-bats were like really bad. Everyone else, and the first 2 McMahon at-bats, everyone else's at-bats were fine. Like, I thought, even though Jason says he was 1 for 4, I thought his at-bats were fine. Like, I didn't see anything, like, horrific with them. There were some great defensive plays made on the other side, but that's the Phillies. You know, the Phillies make the plays. The Phillies know how to play fundamental baseball. You realize they had a 5-run lead, and they were bunting runners into scoring position to get them home and moving the runner over, you know, doing fundamental baseball stuff. And someone posted that on X. I'll read the actual thing. That, you know, they do the fundamental stuff correctly. That this is like a common thing with the Phillies, and it always kind of has been under Robbie Thompson. The Phillies sacrifice bunting, a runner from second to third with no outs and a 3-run lead. LOL. And I said, and guess who their manager is? Former Yankees third base coach / bench coach and Girardi's right hand man, Rob Thompson. Just pointing that, you know, if you really do look at the numbers, since Boone's taken over, the fundamentals have gone right out the door. Now, I'm not saying they were perfect under Girardi, because there were definitely things, all right, like there will be with anyone, but in terms of performance on the field, they were a much more well-wrapped team on the field under Joe. And, you know, Rob Thompson was considered for the job and ultimately not, I think, because they wanted to get out of that whole regime. Anyways, Alan Winans gave up 4 runs, 3 earned in his 3 innings of work. He has already been optioned down to Scranton, so that means a fresh arm's coming up tomorrow. I don't know. I know Mark Later threw a side session today and threw a bullpen yesterday. I don't think it's going to be him, but you never know. I thought De Los Santos looked good. Obviously, he did give up a run, but I thought he generally looked good. I thought Loizaga looked pretty good today. I know he walked 2, but he did look okay. Stroman looked like awful today. I wrote he regressed back to the means. He didn't look good. He didn't pitch well. Boone's like, yeah, well, he was throwing strikes and, you know, got into some deep counts late. And my counter to that is he walked 4 batters, Aaron. How is he throwing strikes if he's walking 4 batters? That doesn't add up. So Stroman did not pitch well today at all. And I think worst of all, because he was walking guys and not throwing strikes and getting into deep counts, he only lasted 3 2/3 innings. So you had to get all those outs out of your bullpen. A bullpen running on fumes that can't seem to get anyone out. Their bullpen ERA is 9 in the past month. 9. They can't get outs. Luke Weaver yesterday hung the 1 changeup. All right, fine. You want to say, you know what, he hung a changeup? He hung a changeup. All right. Has the long ball been a thing for him lately? Yes. Do I think that that's him? No. I think Luke Weaver's fine. He's gotten a lot better, but every reliever gives up runs. I think that was just his due. It just came at a very inappropriate time. I also like Luke Weaver a lot and don't want to see him struggle because I want to see him here long term. But, you know, obviously the performance on the field speaks for itself. He was, 6 2/3 scoreless before giving up the home run? I mean, you know, in multiple appearances. And that was like the first hit he given up in like a month. So, whatever. Jazz had another error today. The Yankees continue to boot the ball around, not play clean baseball, so that's still a thing. Not much from this game. They got beat by a tough lefty. That's it. That's all you can say. Tough lefty. They give them trouble. And tomorrow they go into a game where they look to salvage a series at home. They have not been swept at home, as I mentioned, against Zach Wheeler. Yeah. And, you're the best hitter on the planet's not going to be in the lineup, so there's that too. So, moving on to the trade front. I didn't do a live episode yesterday because I was going to wait until the deadline was over to do a full-on overview, but when I figured I was going to go live today because of the Judge injury, I said that, you know what, I'll throw this in there because I want to talk deadline as I'm getting texts about trades. There is a trade. I don't think it's for the Yankees that's on the goal line right now. So I'll stay tuned if there's breaking news during this and I find out. I'll keep everyone tuned. I don't know who's involved or anything, but I did just get that. I don't even know if it involves the Yankees or not, but there's a trade happening. The Yankees yesterday acquired infielder. I did put third baseman on the graphic, Ryan McMahon, in exchange for two low-level pitching prospects, Griffin Herring, who is pictured, and Josh Gross. McMahon made his Yankee debut today. He went 1 for 3 with a walk. And this sick defensive play that's shown in the top right corner, he had a couple sparklers. That was the one that the game was over at that point. I looked around. I look at that like, like this is what we've been missing at third base for a while here. Like he really looked great defensively and offensively. He struck out twice to open the day. It's important to note he is not as good against left-handed pitching, which will bring me into my next little thing. I don't have a slide for it, but I'm just going to talk it over. In fact, I could probably make one quickly while I'm talking. Sorry. I thought he looked good. In terms of the trade, a lot of people were divided on the Ryan McMahon trade. I will say this. I think that the trade itself is a good trade for the Yankees. The reason I think that is because they took a deficiency that they know they had and made it not a defense in general, we're a black hole. Is he going to hit like A-Rod over there? Things have happened. A change of scenery could be the trick for him. But do I expect him to? No. So that's important to note. I don't expect him to hit Mantle. I don't expect him to hit really great here. But what I do expect from him is to play really, really good defense at a really, really high level. That's what I expect from him. And that's a plus offense. And if he's going to struggle against left-handed pitching, which he does, and he obviously, we all know he struggles against away from Coors, and he's never going to be at Coors as long as he's a Yankee. So there's that. People are like, did the Yankees make a mistake making this trade? No, they didn't. This is, in terms of a trade, this is a very good trade so far. The defense is up at third. The offense, I'm sure, will come. Obviously, he had a hit today. It was a soft single, but that gets the monkey off his back. And you know what? Part of his game is walking, and I think that's stuff we need. What he spoke at his pregame conference, first of all, when I forget who it was that posted the first picture of him, he looked like Rizzo. And I'm like, damn, he looks exactly like Rizzo. I'm like, that's awesome. So good. I think it's a good start to the deadline. This can't be all. And Judge referenced that in his 7.5 minute post game after the injury. He referenced we got the guys up there, the deadline. Our front office is working hard right now to acquire pieces, stuff like that. That's what they do best up there, stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, Judge, they gotta go do it. Especially with him going on the IL, they have to do it. Now, there were rumors today out there, that's awesome, that the Yankees aren't done in the infield market. So I have Willie Castro up. I'm not going to put up Brendan Donovan because I don't think that's going to happen. Yohan Moncada, I don't know if that would jump off the page to me, but I know the Yankees and the Twins have been talking a lot. Specifically, the relievers. I mentioned Duran, Griffin, Jacks would be a good option, and I'm going to mention them again in a minute. But I know the Yankees have had contact with the Minnesota Twins. So could a trade be on the horizon? Who knows? They like Willie Castro. Willie Castro is a switch hitter. He's a third baseman, or he's a super utility player, but he's a switch hitter. And it could play really anywhere on the infield and outfield. And what this would do is when there is a lefty on the mound, you can put him at third base and give McMahon a day. The defense is good. It's solid, and obviously, that's there. He's a switch hitter. He mashes lefties. And I think we need that. But that also allows, if there's that lefty lane where they go to a lefty reliever late in the game, and McMahon's coming up, maybe he's batting 8th or 9th, and he's coming up, and there's a lefty going to be coming up, you can go and pinch hit for Castro in this scenario, and you're not going to be worried about defense as much. And you know what? You really have a shot. And then that way, let's say it goes to extras and you have him coming up again. It's not that situation where you're really shooting for the stars once. If you're going for Stanton or Rice, like Boone's done in recent weeks, which he has no choice but to do. That's not an onus on Aaron. That's an onus on the Yankees and Cashman specifically, and the roster flexibility. There isn't roster flexibility. So one of the things I would like to see, between now and Thursday, and especially in the offseason, I'm going to advocate for it a lot, is for them to have, since they love the splits and they love to play the analytics, well, then have guys where you're so lefty heavy right now, especially, I think Everson Pereira is a right-handed hitter, and if he's coming up, Dominguez, his one hit today was from the right side. I will say that. And he's been a lot better from that side as of late. So the switch hitting, has been better for Dominguez. And I think he has a lot of promise there. Goldschmidt has not been hitting as a lefty, off lefties in a few weeks. So there's some concern there. Obviously, Grisham's a lefty. And, the core of your lineup is lefty. So if you can go and get someone like Willie Castro to come off the bench and, be that lefty guy, or be that guy who can, pinch hit against a lefty late in the game, or even, Rice is in at first because there's a hard right-hander on the mound. They go to the lefty lane and you have, let's say you have Rice, McMahon, and Volpe coming up. Well, then guess what? Goldschmidt's pinch hitting for Rice. Castro's pinch hitting then for McMahon, and Volpe's been mashing lefties this year. Don't know where that came from because I thought that was like a struggle of his. I'm going to give the kid his flowers. He took some very good swings today, and the defense looked very good today at second base. He made some really nice plays at shortstop. Volpe made some really nice plays today, and the two singles. There was another one that was well struck off the bat that looked pretty good to me. And you know what? If that's going to be Anthony Volpe's game the rest of the year, pulling the ball a lot more and going to left field, so be it. Because guess what? Over the past week, he's contributed to the lineup. You know what? He hasn't been a butcher at short. He had one error this week. No, he had two. Excuse me. He's been a butcher at short, but he hasn't been a butcher offensively. He's pulling his weight this week. He has 4 home runs this week. That's good. I'd sign up for that any day. If he's going to be a power threat in that lineup where he can pop one at any second, then you know what? That helps out the Yankees. And he's going to need to be one of the people that steps up in wake of the Judge injury. We can't have automatic outs in that lineup. And you know what? Getting McMahon here at the right time, that helps too, because he's less of an automatic out than Peraza was. So that does help. But Castro would be a good option, I think, if the Yankees were going to go out and do it. Now, I brought up the other day, and I'm going to bring it back up now. The pitching. The bullpen has been a disaster, and there's no one in there that I really, really trust to get out right now, to get outs. Okay, so there's no one in there I trust to get outs. Brian Cashman needs to be on the phone right now to try and get a reliever. He does. He needs to go out and get a reliever today. This bullpen is running on empty, and they need to do something. I have the names. I like Ryan Helsley. I like Ryan Helsley a lot. He's a good option, but he doesn't have control, and the Yankees like control. Carlos Estevez, same thing. I don't love him. I like him more as a setup man, but he doesn't really have many years of control. Angel Zerpa, all right, they need a left-hander. David Bednar, this is a move. Pirates are selling. They are not doing anything. Brian, get on the phone, make a phone call, and get him here. There's no reason why David Bednar can't be on the next, on the turnpike on the way up, like right now, or on a flight. However it's going to work, there's no reason he can't be on his way up here right now. I'm being serious. There's no reason. He should be on his way up right now. He's been spectacular as of late. Get him here. That'd be a very good choice. Finnegan, all right, doesn't really move the needle, but is a choice. He has the experience. Duran's the move. If Cashman really wants to fix this sinking ship, he's going to go out there. He's going to make a trade for Yohan Duran and or Griffin Jacks and David Bednar. It's going to cost a lot, but you got to do it. In terms of starting pitcher, they need someone. They need a body. As Matt Blake said the other day, they need bodies back there. So, trade deadline coming up in a few days. I'm going to do a live on Thursday, right after the Tampa series. I'm going to do it probably at 7, since the Yankees have a day game that day. I'll probably do it at 7:30 on here, on X, and then I'll put it up on YouTube. I'll put it on YouTube and Spotify like I normally do right after, recapping exactly what the Yankees do at the deadline, because it remains to be seen. They've already made moves. That's a positive. They're going in the right direction. Yankee people have already said today, now that we know Judge is going to be back this year, full go. We're all in. Let's do this. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe and have a great day. Let's go Yankees. Let's not get swept tomorrow.